Well, here we are once again. It's the preview for the draw for the FIFA World Cup Qualifiers 2026. It feels like only yesterday I made this video for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. I mean, you can check it out if you really want to be nostalgic. And we were talking about pots, talking about who Algeria could get. This was just for the group, for the Burkina Faso, Nigeria and Djibouti stage. But here we go now. Different format for the next World Cup. So if you don't know, the format's different. Have you been living under a rock? 9 teams will go to the FIFA World Cup from Africa, and maybe, just maybe, a 10th side could make it as well, depending on intercontinental playoffs and all that sort of thing. So CAF, as a result of getting pretty much double the places at the tournament, have changed the qualification system, gone playoffs, income massive groups. It used to be like this as well when we had 5 teams. I think the 06 World Cup had 6 team groups. So this is it, no playoff, which means every confederation, every nation in the continent gets the chance to play for World Cup qualification. It works out nicely because you've got 9 places for the 9 group winners, 9 groups, and it fits in nicely to having the 6 pots, because then you end up with 54 teams, and there are 54 playing nations from Africa. So even the likes of Somalia, right, have the opportunity, who don't even play AFCON qualifying. Remember, this is not a CAF entity, this is a FIFA setup. Somalia can theoretically qualify for the FIFA World Cup. So everyone's in. Of course, the only 2 nations that might cause problems are Kenya and Zimbabwe, because they were banned from the AFCON qualifying for government interference. We know Kenya have the ban lifted, so that's 53 nations confirmed. We're still waiting for confirmation if the Zimbabwe ban is lifted. If it is, then great. It's going to be really easy to follow. If Zimbabwe are banned, it's going to get very complicated, because one group's going to have less teams, and that means all the results against the bottom place team aren't going to count. So we need to wait and see what happens with that Zimbabwe disqualification. But assuming they're in, let's go and look at the pots based on the FIFA rankings. Now, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for CAF to drop these pots. Nowhere to be seen. As it stands right now, we were told the draw will be happening on July 12 in Cotonou in Benin. We know now that's not the case. We know that's been moved to Abidjan in Ivory Coast, and we also think that's going to be delayed by at least 1 day to July 13. So this draw could get delayed. It was set for July 12. Let's wait and see what happens, because you never bloody know with these CAF mugs. They don't know what they're doing. So here's what the pots look like, assuming they're done by FIFA ranking. Algeria, of course, are in pot 1, the 4th highest African seeded team. Now, theoretically, on paper, you'd go, the 9 teams in pot 1 will qualify for the World Cup. I think, depending on what happens from pot 2 and 3, it won't be as simple as that. So you've got Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Nigeria, Cameroon, Mali and Ivory Coast. The good news is Algeria cannot get any of those teams I just named, but it's not an easy pot 2. Having said that, like I said, I look at pot 1 and I go, Tunisia, right? If Tunisia are paired with a Burkina Faso, there's no reason why Burkina Faso couldn't go on and finish above Tunisia. Of course, they beat them and knocked them out of the last AFCON. So I think, that pot 2 team is crucial. You put Algeria with Ghana, with Burkina, you're saying they're in big trouble. You put Algeria with a Gabon or a Guinea and you think we're okay. So that pot 2 is going to be crucial. So depending on what happens between the pot 1 and pot 2 teams, it won't be as straightforward as the 9 pot 1. So whoever gets Ghana and Burkina Faso, I think, is in massive trouble. And we all know how it works. We'll probably get, Algeria will get given flipping Ghana, Morocco will get given Somalia, we're going to not qualify, they're going to qualify, etc, etc. We don't get the rub of the green in these things. Anyway, looking at pot 1, Ghana and Burkina Faso are real danger men, and they'll be looking at pot 1 and thinking, who do we want? They're going to be wanting Tunisia, I think. They're going to be wanting Mali. That's what Burkina and Ghana will fancy themselves. Even South Africa to an extent. They'll fancy DR Congo. It's a strong pot 2. I don't think anyone in pot 1 wants DR Congo. We know Tunisia and DR Congo have history in World Cup qualifiers. I don't think, it's going to be interesting. Zambia's a tough one on the Avram Grant, Dakar. They just smashed Ivory Coast. I think pot 2, you'd be hoping for a Cape Verde. You'd be hoping for a Guinea. You'd be hoping for a Gabon. You'd be hoping for an Equatorial Guinea. We're not going to lose to them again. So that's interesting. Pot 3, your likes of your Ugandas, your Benins. And, you know, Algeria have looked very comfortable against Uganda recently. I'm not really... Guinea-Bissau from pot 3 is not an easy pot 3. Madagascar are not what they were. They've gone back to being, you know, Alex the Lion and Melman and Gloria and all that sort of stuff. Angola, even though they're the last team in pot 3, are dangerous. They've got all these Portuguese-born players, a bit like what Algeria, etc. have been doing, and get them involved. The likes of Helder Costa, these sorts of players, Luca João. So Angola from pot 3, despite being ranked 114, is dangerous. I want a Namibia, I want a Congo, I want a Mauritania. The reason I want a Mauritania is you've got to factor in, it's not just about opponent. You've got to think distance, you've got to think travel, you've got to think terrain. Algeria could walk to Mauritania, right? Mauritania away is a lot easier than playing like Namibia away, because you're not travelling for another 9-10 hours, do you know what I mean? So remember that as well. Pot 4. Mozambique and Gambia, that's quite dangerous. Of course, Algeria didn't beat Sierra Leone last time. Togo in pot 4 is mad. Togo were at the World Cup in 06. They're in pot 4 now. That's crazy. Zimbabwe, if they're allowed to be in it. I'd take Libya from pot 4 again. Easy opponent with respect, and also easy travel. I don't want to be travelling to like the other end. You know, Malawi away. No one wants to play Malawi away, do they? Because it's a tough game, a tough travel. They're going to play it in the heat. 2 p.m. If you play your Mauritanias, your Sudans, your Libyas, you know you're going to get an evening game. Pot 5, Niger, we'd take Comoros. That's probably quite a tough game from pot 5. I wouldn't want Comoros. Sudan we'd take, again, because of the distance. And also Sudan probably not going to be allowed to play at home, I reckon. But I'd love a Rwanda, an Eswatini, a Botswana, a Liberia. And then pot 6, wow. I mean, it's like watching the chase for jackpot answers, isn't it? Lesotho, South Sudan, again, would be good for the travel. Mauritius, Chad, Sao Tome and Principe, Djibouti, the Seychelles, who I remember Algeria played years ago and Benzia played, Eritrea and Somalia in pot 6. So that's the pots, what we're looking at. All 54 African federations involved at the point of recording this video. So, what is the best group Algeria can get? For me, it's Algeria from pot 1. Pot 2 is probably Equatorial Guinea. Pot 3, I think the easiest one is Namibia, or maybe Congo, or Mauritania for the travel, sorry I said. Yeah, so Algeria, Equatorial Guinea, Mauritania, Libya, Sudan and South Sudan. Imagine Mauritania, Sudan, South Sudan, Libya. You're barely having to get your passport out, and then all you've got to do is get a tough game in Equatorial Guinea, a tough game in Gabon, Cape Verde, and you're there. However, it's never that straightforward. You could end up with Algeria, Ghana, Angola, Mozambique, right, Comoros, and then, well, I mean, pot 6 doesn't really matter, Lesotho. So it could go either way. If you're Algeria and you're getting Ghana and Angola, and you've got to go to both those places and get something and beat them at home, it's not easy. It's not easy, guys. So I'm telling you now, it's either going to be a really easy draw or it's really going to be tough. And that pot 2 is crucial, because Burkina, Ghana, I'm not so sure. Cape Verde, Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, I'm buzzing. And then obviously pot 3, you don't want Angola. You don't really, I mean, look at it. Trust me about Angola. They're going to be back. They're going to be back. They're getting a lot of European-born players. They're sleeping giant. Pot 4, take your pick, really. You don't want to be worrying about pot 4, 5, 6 if you're really be taken seriously. But I think the travel is a big part to play, and I just hope we don't get Ghana or Burkina Faso. I can see. I'm just going to call it now. I know we're going to get flipping Burkina Faso again, right? Because us and Burkina in World Cup qualifying is a better love story than Twilight. And then watch flipping Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt. They're going to get bloody Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, Somalia, Eritrea, all these, man, you know. All the guys from East London Mosque. And we're going to be playing Ghana and Burkina Faso. So, I want your comments to be, what is the best draw Algeria can get? What is the worst draw Algeria can get? And what is the one stadium, the one place, the one city, the one team we don't want to be getting? Of course, on the bright side, pot 1, can't get any of those lot. Win the group and you're on the plane. Come second, the 4 best runners-up will play a mini tournament for the 10th place to go. So all is not lost if you narrowly come second, but then you're going to have to play... Imagine you've got to play Tunisia and Burkina, right, in a semi-final and a final to get to the tournament. It's tough. There's always going to be one surprise. Like, DR Congo could spring a surprise. I've just got a feeling Angola are going to do something. There will be a pot 2 team that will make it. Maybe even a pot 3 team will make it. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks so much and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.